And
That's
we're
it.
back.
We're back
Yep.
to the Formula Juan podcast, the one and only with Pipe, or
Or
the main titular Juan,
the Juan
the Juan and
Ramirez.
only. And then me, the brother, Carlos, Carlos
Mhm.
Julian. Anyway,
Hey,
Silverstone.
Silverstone, good track, good race, very exciting weekend. I mean, I think I guess we were talking about this right after the race. It's actually a rare phenomenon, but we saw the race together.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, for once. I mean, I don't know when the last time. I guess the last time was like Monaco in like 2019 or something. We were like
Did
in
we watch that
Florida.
together?
Yeah, we were like in Orlando or something for like a Disney trip.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and it wasn't even good because Leclerc got screwed over by Ferrari.
Oh, that was that one.
Yeah, it was actually a really
Yeah.
boring race, even to watch at like a Denny's or something. uh,
Yeah.
yeah, but no,
Like we were watching it like in like a phone. It's not like
yeah,
we were
we were trying
actually.
to keep up with it. Yeah, in the
Yeah.
middle of like Disney. Um, No, but it was a fun experience. The whole Silverstone. It really felt like the action picked up again. Like I mean I don't know. If you're a Leclerc fan, you probably hated it. But if you're anybody else, that just wanted to like watch a Formula race and like see a like dramatic, interesting, like different things going on, then this probably was that. I think it was pretty good.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's the best race of the season so far. I don't know if any other one compares. I know that Bahrain was exciting.
Well,
But
I wouldn't say that it was the most exciting. I think the first two or three races were really exciting in the sense that like it was Leclerc versus Verstappen all along, and like they were fighting pretty hard, and it was a really interesting beginning to the season. But this one, it's like I don't know. It seems I mean that Verstappen still has the lead, and even if Leclerc were to win, it wasn't like gonna change a lot. But it was fun enough to like so many things happened. There's so many storylines, and the crash at the beginning was crazy. So yeah, no, I mean there's just overall fun, but maybe just fun. It's not like so much for the championship.
I mean, I think that if you look at probably iconic races in Formula One, like
Hmm.
there's a couple of them, but that you kind of always go back to, like, oh, this one will always be memorable. Uh, I think Silverstone just happens to have a couple of them. Like, for example, Hamilton when he won on three wheels, on
Yeah,
three tires. That also happened in Silverstone.
yeah.
Um,
Like recently too.
yeah, there's obviously, I mean, Brazil always has some really exciting races as well.
Hmm.
There's like the famous Canada race from like 2012, where like all the tires that were like not exploding, but they were like uh, just the drivers were driving too fast and they didn't understand the tires at that point in time.
Hmm.
So like all of the tires were like just being fully melted, and people had to
Interesting.
pit and to go into the pits like 3 or 4 times in a single race. That was exciting.
Hmm.
Like you always go back to like certain races that are just like, oh yeah, that
That
was
was
like a
fun.
really exciting race. And
Yeah.
I think that this one is gonna be like one of those races that you go back to. You're like, oh, that race had it all.
Yeah, yeah. It's kind of like one of those you know how Ricardo says that he always just wins interesting races. He never is just like him like winning boringly. It's kind of what it felt like. I mean, it felt like Sainz was in the right place at the right time. I'll give him that. But like he didn't drive that well. Like
Yep. I'm not thrilled about the result of the race. I'm
right.
thrilled about how exciting the race was,
Yeah,
if
yeah.
that makes sense.
No, yeah, but I mean, at the end of the day, that's the thing that takes it a peg down for me is the fact that like, yes, it was like silly fun, like blind fun, while like it was going on. But then the more that I think about the result, the more like that it comes to like with the championship. in my mind, and I'm like, well, nothing all that interesting happened. I mean, science win is okay, and but I feel bad that like he won and like it felt like he didn't deserve it. Like even the qualifying, he didn't really even deserve it because Leclerc spun and then he slowed Verstappen down. So that was the only way in which Sainz could have gotten that pole, and then this was the only way in which he could have gotten like ahead of Leclerc or Leclerc and Verstappen. Like it was like crazy circumstances, but it's like the only way in which that would have happened. So, so yeah, I don't know. It kind of took it down for me a little bit to the point where I would say that it wasn't the most exciting race of the season, and that like, I mean, it be in my memory, but like, I don't know. Like, it's gonna leave a little bit of a bad taste in my mouth.
Yeah, same here. Obviously, I mean, we can get a little bit into it. I want to save it for the end. Well, we have like the FIA criticism, and we
Mhm.
have the in this case the Ferrari criticism.
Yeah,
I want to leave like those two topics for like the very last, uh, just so we can keep all the juiciness there. We can go into like the more smaller, shorter topics from the get go if you want.
sure, yeah.
Um,
Whatever you want to talk about.
okay, let's talk about the crash.
Yeah.
I think that's how the race started. Let's get it out of the way. Let's talk about
Well,
the crash.
well, to begin with, I, I thought there was a really good chance that that guy was never gonna walk again. Like when he went upside down and he like the car started bouncing, his helmet was really close to the ground. To the point like a small touch like he would have made and like he would have fucked up his entire neck and like I think like he could have just gone quadriplegic. um, but thankfully that didn't happen. Uh,
Mhm.
and as soon as they released, like absolutely everything was okay with him. That like he was talking well, he was just standing up, he was just like conversing with people, a little shook, but not nothing too crazy. Um, at that point, I was like, damn, dude, that was a badass crash. Like he literally belly flop like upside down for like the entirety of the like runoff area. Then he bounced off the barrier and went in between like the fence and like the barrier, and like just got stuck in there. It was like the scariest looking. I think it was scarier looking than that Alonso crash, with Grosjean, back in the day. I don't remember. It was like
In Australia,
2022. Yeah,
like when the
Gor-
McLaren just
yeah.
spun
He
a
just
couple of times.
like kept spinning, and like everybody's
Yeah,
like, "Oh my
it
god,
was
that did
very
Alonso just
reminiscent of
die?"
that. Yeah.
Yeah. I,
Um,
I was like, that is probably more scary. I mean, the way that that car flipped uh on a straight is something I've never seen. Like it didn't like airplane or anything. It literally just got touched like this, and like I guess the velocity going this way like flipped it over like immediately because of the downforce that these cars create. Um, and I was just like astonished as to like how that could have happened. Very scary looking, but
yeah, it is crazy because like you see it and it's like, first of all, it's not like the drivers have like a breaking point on turn one
yeah.
for the track.
Hmm.
So I do remember that like we were watching and we're like, how does that happen? That so many cars are crashing and they're all pretty much flat out. There's no reason for anybody to brake and
Yeah.
crash into anybody else. Like
Yeah.
what happened? I mean, we did see what happened in the end. Like Gasly got like sandwiched, and then there was some contact with George Russell, and then that the George Russell Mercedes just like flew into the Alpha
Yeah.
Romeo, and then that thing just like flipped upside down. Um, it was crazy. It was crazy to watch. Like, how much speed do you have to carry for the car to be able to just go across for that long without
Yeah.
stopping?
Oh yeah. Just
That was
just kept
crazy.
going. Yeah. And the other thing that
And the other thing that what was crazy is then seeing the car, like when I thought that like, oh, the car is like underneath the barrier or between the barrier, whatever. I imagine like, the tires are here where like they crash and the car like came and it's underneath,
yeah. Uh-huh.
upside down, but like underneath the tires. No,
Yeah.
the car like flipped and was in between the barrier and the tires. That was scary to
Scary.
watch. Yeah.
Yeah, like how do you even remove a driver from that situation? And if he's injured, even worse, you know.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, very so. And like the other thing that like was really worrying at the time, or like that, like it was like concerning. It was like, is Guanyu like the nicest guy, like this guy is like super innocent, and he's coming to Formula One. He's understanding the car better, and like he's going faster and faster. He's doing better and better, and then this happens to him. Like he's never hurt anybody. Like I was legitimately concerned for him. I was like, I actually like him as a driver so far. Maybe in a few years, I don't know, maybe he'll be like another Latifi or something, but at the moment he's doing well. And so it was like pretty scary to see that happening to him. I mean, I don't know, I guess nobody really deserves that, but I don't know, it was like kind of tragic. Like, if I had happened to Ocon, everybody would be like, well, he's driven plenty of Formula One seasons. But no, all kidding aside, no, it was very concerning. It was very scary. But now that it's happened, it's kind of like it's pretty interesting to think about. It's just like it highlights the durability or the protection, the safety that these cars provide. It's really good.
Yeah. There's an investigation, obviously, after every crash, and especially a big one like this one. There's an investigation that will occur. The main thing that the FIA say they were going to investigate about this one is the top of the car, like that little circle where, like,
Yeah,
I think the
with
camera,
camera.
yeah. Well, not the camera. That's not really where the camera goes. Like the camera goes mounted on top of that circle.
Yeah.
But like that air duct, I forget what it's called, a ring something. But the thing is that structure is meant to withhold
Yeah.
enough weight for in the event. I think it's a roll bar, the roll bar, I think. In the event that the car rolls over, that is the structure that protects the driver's head from hitting the ground.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you've seen the images. Like I took a look at that because I hadn't seen it, but then when I saw that investigation that the FIA said we're going to investigate what happened with the roll bar because it's missing. Like if you see the car and the image is upside down, it's like that whole structure is missing. It's just like a little, like it gets stripped off the car.
I did kind of see something fall off the car. Like I thought it was just like that little triangle thing in like the camera, but I do remember seeing like a whole piece coming out of the top of it.
Yeah, so they're gonna investigate like how that happened and like make it safer. See, obviously all the cars need to pass like the crash tests that the FIA have. So the car is legal per se, but I don't know. It's just part of the investigation. We'll see if like anything comes out of it.
Yeah, no, interesting. I mean, but I mean, I assume that the cars as they are currently not like they pass a lot of tests, but like I guess this was a very extreme case in which like the car bounced like a bunch of times on top of it. So that like
Yeah, like how do you have a test of a car going 300 kilometers per hour upside down while
while it's like bouncing? Like I mean, like I assume they make some tests, but not to that level of specificity.
Yeah. Anyway, the other crash that wasn't like didn't gather much attention was the one from Alex Albon. I don't know if you know that Alex Albon was also in the hospital. I think Alex Albon's crash like exerted over 50 G's.
Oof.
And if you see it, it's just like he just gets tapped and hits the wall, and that was it.
No, actually, I think when I saw it, I was like, damn, actually that was pretty bad because he got hit from one side, right? And then I think somebody else came and like hit him from the other. So it was like whiplash, in my opinion.
Yeah.
It looked very like ooh, like punchy, like too much force in one direction and then the other.
Yeah, so that's the other crash that didn't gather much attention. I think he was, I think, in the hospital for longer than Joe was. So that's another. I don't know if anybody hasn't seen that crash. It doesn't seem as violent as like the other one. Obviously, the other one looks very spectacular because the car falls apart and all of that. But like when a car falls apart like that, we've said it many times, the car is designed to do that, to dissipate the energy.
Yeah.
But in the case of the Alex Albon crash, it was very is it blunt? Like it was just
Yeah.
very abrupt. Like
Mhm.
he's just driving and then the hits are like doof, doof, and like just very sudden,
Yeah.
but not a lot of destruction. So yeah, it feels more like a whiplash kind of crash. But I mean, he was released and he's okay.
Mhm.
But yeah, just a honorable mention.
Yeah. Part of that incident too. Yeah. Which took out like after everything, it only took out like three drivers, which is kind of interesting because a lot of them were able to drive back to
Oh,
the pits.
also George Russell, which we can talk here a little bit about, but
Yeah.
George Russell apparently he got off the like he saw that the car. I mean, this is how he explained it, and I don't know if it's true. He might be making some of it up. I don't know. The drivers never think that they're at fault.
Yeah.
But George was saying like, I crashed. I saw that hey, there's a crash. I saw a car flipped over there. It was crazy. So I turned off the car. I got out and I went to check how the driver was doing. They're doing okay. So once like my help was no longer needed, I came back to the car. I only had a puncture. So I jumped back in the car and I tried to turn it on and just keep going. And then it's like the car only had a puncture. It's not like the car had like a terminal failure that we couldn't keep racing on. It's just I got out to help somebody else.
But did you see the car though? Like,
yeah, I saw it. It did seem a little like it seemed that the
uh,
suspension was a little fucked, you know.
no, it was entirely destroyed. Like or not destroyed, but the whole back tire
Yeah, the rear
was
left.
like it was gone. It was just the metal part, and the metal part was like all fucked up.
Yep.
Like
Yeah, I saw it.
it wasn't just like a little puncture. It's like no, you wouldn't have been able to drive it to the pits. Like you would have had to stop your race no matter what. So it's like I don't know. The other drivers were able to drive back to the pits, but he would have never been able to do that. And he also got off the car, which I mean, he got off the car. So no, I mean that the whole argument that he was like trying to make to the FIA of like, oh yeah, no, let me drive again. I was like, no, your car was like fully out of the race. You were a DNF from the get go. So, so yeah, I don't know. I wasn't liking his argument.
Yeah. The other thing we can talk about, which was really exciting, was I guess the end of the race and the wheel-to-wheel battles. I think that's like another aspect of the race that I think was really exciting. Everything like after the safety car, you know, Carlos Sainz and Leclerc fighting for position.
Yeah.
Obviously, the whole Leclerc defending position against Perez, Hamilton. I thought, I mean, it's probably going to be very iconic. I think like every time that we see a Formula One replay or highlight, it's going to have like that wheel-to-wheel battle of all of those three cars just going at it.
Yeah, that was pretty good. It was really, really good, actually.
The racing, I thought it was really good. But I do have like some complaints as to like some of the things. I know that we criticize, especially the one for Sergio Perez for cutting the corner. But I do agree that in the like, what's that last turn after the straight, like you have Maggots and Beckett's, is that what it's called?
The SS, yeah.
Yeah, and then like you have the big straight. At the end of the straight, you have this like long right-hander. I don't know what the name of that turn is.
Yeah, I don't know either.
But Leclerc did like Perez like kind of overtook him, and Leclerc kind of overtook Perez on the outside of the track. And I remember when like I saw it, I was like, yes, Leclerc got it. And hopefully they don't investigate that because Leclerc clearly gained position by leaving the track.
You mean at the beginning?
At the beginning, after the safety car restart. Or was it at the beginning of the race?
Like after the red flag, you mean? When the race started and Leclerc got like too close to Perez and like cried and like fucked up his wing?
No, I'm talking about the after the
Okay.
race car after the safety car restart.
Okay. Okay.
There was a moment where Leclerc went outside of Perez and gained the position back,
Mm.
uh, like by leaving the track.
I live in the track. Okay.
And then that was when Perez then like on the chicane right afterwards, Perez cut the corner.
Is that okay?
Yeah,
I guess I didn't remember.
I fully dismissed the the Leclerc leaving the track, obviously because I'm rooting for Leclerc, but he did gain an advantage by leaving the track. He pretty much overtook Perez on the outside of the track. Um,
Hmm.
and well, anyway, I think aside from that, I was very pleased to see like some really like wheel to wheel action in Formula One. You know, it's very
Yeah.
hard to see that nowadays.
Yeah. I mean,
Over the past few years.
well, what's great is there's like three different teams, fighting for it. It's like you get to see Hamilton going back and forth, then you see Perez getting it back, and then Leclerc, who was like the obvious first, like losing positions because Ferrari fucked him up. But it's still like really really exciting. Like all of these are like big players in the game, and so to see them all together fighting like that, yeah, it's pretty rewarding.
Yeah. You don't miss the old days of Formula One when like you see some racing like this.
Yeah, yeah,
I guess.
yeah. It really the old days seem far gone.
Yeah, that was the only stuff that I want to talk about. Just like the wheel to wheel racing,
Okay.
I really enjoyed it. So yeah. Okay, we're going through the topics here fast, quick and loose here. But quick question: would Verstappen have won the race if he wouldn't have had the issue that he had?
I don't know. It's a good question, actually. Probably is my guess. Um, probably
Like I
because I
remember
mean,
it like in
probably
the first 10
because
laps, we were like, okay, the race is over.
I mean, as soon as I mean at the first turn, I was like, okay, Sainz just lost it. Good job. Like that meant nothing yesterday. Because he immediately lost it to Verstappen and got like a 1.7 second difference on. Well, actually, no, never mind. That I'm wrong about that. But like it seemed like Verstappen was already gone, but then there was the safety car, so like it didn't matter. And then it restarted, which was kind of weird actually. The whole restart part. I mean, and I guess we can go back to what you said in a little bit, but like it was weird to me that like they after the red flag they restarted the cars in like the wrong like the different positions, but like it didn't make sense to me why like I thought Hamilton out qualified Perez, and but then Hamilton was behind Perez on the restart. Um, I don't know. I mean I don't know. I don't understand the rule of like having to go back before the safety car came out. Like why wouldn't you just or the red flag? I guess maybe as a rule. Maybe it's just the red flags are different than safety cars, and like that the race is immediately stopped, and that's why finishing the lap didn't count. But it was still a little bit strange to me.
Yeah, what was the qualifying like? The starting grid.
Well, it was Sainz
No, Hamilton qualified fifth.
behind Perez.
Yeah, behind Perez.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm wrong about that,
But
but it's still a little strange that it went back to like the original grid.
yeah, uh, yeah. So obviously, in regards to that, Verstappen passed Sainz. I was like, okay, Sainz sucks.
Yeah.
And then the red flag happened because no laps had been completed in the race at that point in time. It's
Yeah.
like you don't have an official, I guess, grid. Like,
Yeah.
so it's like, hey, we have to restart the race. There's a red flag. We're going back to like like the initial grid, how everybody qualified, which makes sense to me. But I feel like it's it's a weird rule because I think we can all agree that clearly Verstappen was going to be first on that first lap after it ended.
Yeah,
Uh, but that's okay. I can live with that rule as long as it's consistent. It's like, okay, that's the rule we're going by.
exactly. Yeah.
Sure, let's keep that rule.
Mhm.
I think it is the first time that I see it.
Yeah.
Therefore, whether I like it because of the result or not, I'm like, okay, I'm okay with the rule.
Okay. Yeah. I guess that makes sense. Yeah. But then, yeah. When the restart happened, it looked like Sainz actually had a minute of a chance to defense versus Verstappen. Like, I mean, he did a really good job at the restart to keep him back, and then he managed to keep him back for a couple more corners. But then Verstappen just passed him, and then
Yeah,
like,
Verstappen like overtook Sainz, and then Sainz just couldn't keep up.
yeah.
Leclerc had damage on his car,
Mhm.
and Ferrari were refusing to swap cars for
Even
so
though
long.
even though he was still going faster, like
Yeah,
without the wing. But that, I mean, going back to your original point, that's the reason why I think Verstappen wouldn't have been able to win, is because of the broken wing of Leclerc. I think naturally, I think Leclerc did have more pace, and any other day of the week he would have won the race. But without the wing, I just think he was probably on par with Verstappen. So it's kind of hard to say.
I
Uh,
think that Verstappen would have won the race. Obviously, Verstappen had the issue that he
yeah,
ran over a piece of an AlphaTauri car.
yeah.
Did you see the picture of the thing that he ran out of? He ran.
No.
It was like a thing this big,
Oh my
like
God.
a chunk of the AlphaTauri car that got stuck underneath Verstappen's car on one of the Venturi tunnels.
Oh wow, that sucks.
So like Verstappen lost like, I mean, they said like 20 points of downforce. Um,
Yeah, I mean, no, it was immediate that like he like started going slower. Like you could
yeah, I
tell.
mean, we saw that, or that they mentioned that like, oh, he ran over some debris, and like he was like, I have a puncture, like the car is just not working fine.
Yeah, he had to pee.
And then we were like, where is the puncture? We don't understand where this
Mhm.
is happening. It seems fine, but I'll believe him. Like he clearly
Yeah,
lost some pace. He lost positions. He came onto the pit, and then when he got out, it's like, no, there's something still going on with the car, and we're
yeah,
like, oh, that wasn't a puncture. There's something stuck somewhere, and we don't know where.
yeah. Something like I thought something had fucked up the what do you call it,
The
suspension.
suspension.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but I guess they didn't. I don't know. I think it had to do something more with the floor, that it was just completely like destroyed after it, and
yeah.
so yeah. But I don't know. I mean, if it hadn't happened, I mean, who knows? I think it was between Leclerc and him. But with that incident, he went by down to it, and he kept the place. I don't know, like he was still able to like work with that enough to get some points. So in that sense, it was really interesting because like he fought it until the end to get like those like extra like 2 points over Mick
Yeah.
Schumacher, which was a good little duel. Uh, so all that is to say that, yeah, I mean, even though it kind of sucked for Verstappen, he still had a pretty interesting race. Good race. He still managed to get in the points, which is a good salvage from that situation. So yeah, he drove well. He drove well. So I think, I don't know. I'm gonna go into the next topic. So I think it sucks that like whenever there's a decision to be made in the race, that like Ferrari can reliably fuck it up.
Um.
It
Yes.
it's so bad. It just,
I was
I don't
I
know.
was gonna say, if
Eh,
you had any other topics to talk about, really quick ones that we can just get out of the way, go for it. But all I have left is criticizing Ferrari. That's all I got
yeah,
left.
yeah. I
I want to
mean,
just get into that juiciness.
yeah. No, I mean it's just shameful. It literally is just shameful. And if I was Leclerc, I'd be feeling like absolute garbage after that, because Leclerc, and we said this before. I mean, he loves that team. He loves Ferrari, and he loves driving for them. But I mean, there are times where like Ferrari just like literally like treat him like shit. Like they fuck over his races, and it's hard for me to understand why. Like, it wasn't just the fact that they left him out of the pits. Even before that, like they were like doing everything possible to ruin his race. Like literally everything that they could do to like stopping from like winning this race. And it's not because they didn't intend to. I don't think it's just bad decision making, just like terrible decision making. That a team of that caliber shouldn't be making. You know.
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna play here devil's advocate. Now, first of all, before I do that, I completely agree with you. I think Ferrari fucked over Leclerc. There's no excuse for what happened in that race. They were gonna get a 1-2, assuming that Verstappen had the issue that he had.
Yeah.
And they got a 1-4, and the number one driver that needed to win the race was the one that got the fourth place. So they messed up really bad. But I'm gonna play, like, although I agree with all of that, I'm gonna try to defend Ferrari here.
All right.
Not defend them, empathize with them.
All right.
Just because I empathize doesn't mean that I'm defending them. It's just like understanding them. I do think that Leclerc fucked his car up when the front wing got messed up, like on that first lap.
Yeah.
I don't think it was Leclerc's fault necessarily. If you watch the footage, like, Perez is also fighting for position ahead, and Leclerc saw a gap that's like, I'm gonna take the inside, and Perez like just went from the middle of the road to the far left and hit Leclerc. So I think it was just a racing incident, and I don't think it was anybody's fault. Just unfortunate that Leclerc was the one that damaged his car there. But you can make the argument that, like, well, Leclerc should know to just stick his car in the inside when there's people just fighting. Anyway, I think it's just a racing incident on that aspect.
Think, yeah, if anything, it's more on Leclerc, in my opinion.
Yeah. But so Leclerc fucks his car up, and he loses about 5 points of downforce, is what Ferrari said. Now, this is significant. 5 points of downforce is significant, especially on like a track like Silverstone, when you have the S's where you need a lot of downforce to be able to take them at really high speeds. But even then, Leclerc is able to keep up with Sainz. And actually, we can all see that he's faster than Sainz.
Yep.
And the only reason he can really fully overtake him is because there's damage to his car.
Yep.
But we can all see it. Like, it's the same example as in Monaco, where, like, I mean, people might criticize Leclerc here, and I don't know if they do, but it's like, oh, if he was so fast, why couldn't he overtake him? And I'm like, it's not as easy as it seems, but we all know that he's faster. And the same example goes in Monaco. Perez is number one in Monaco on the last laps, and we see Sainz, we see Leclerc, we see Max all behind Perez, just stuck, and nobody can overtake him. It's like, we can all see that all of these drivers are faster than the guy in front. They're just stuck.
Yeah.
They can't overtake him. They're stuck. It's not as easy to overtake in these cars.
Yeah.
Especially if you're missing downforce.
I think that's particularly true. I mean, if you want to save your battery and you want to save all of these things for when you actually have to fight, and if you're trying to go through Sainz, I mean, this is your teammate. It's a team's car also, so you also have to be careful with him. You can't just like fight him all the way through it. You can't really push him like that. So it's like you gotta kind of gently try to pass him, but like you have more pace, but not enough pace that you need to like sacrifice your battery and stuff to try to do him. So it's like he's like, yeah, of course, like, can I just pass him? Like, can you guys just let me go through so I can like try to catch up to Verstappen or whatever? And like Ferrari just wouldn't do it. Like Ferrari is just like no, we're not gonna let you pass. And then it got even worse, because then Sainz took first place. And now Leclerc is obviously faster, but it's stuck behind him, and Hamilton is catching up to them. And it's like, we can all tell, like, this is a mistake. Like, this feels wrong. It feels like you guys are losing time.
Yes. And this is the reason, like, empathizing with Ferrari here. I think they don't want to. I don't know what their thought was as to like, look, on lap 10, when Leclerc caught up to Sainz, you had, I don't know, how many laps does it take for you to realize, okay, the car behind is faster than the one in front, and we need to swap them as fast as possible.
Yeah.
And they like Leclerc caught up to Sainz on lap 10. You like how many laps do you give a team? Like 1 lap, 2 laps? Like how many laps does it take? You know, they keep saying like, oh, we told Carlos that he has to hit this target lap time, and he wouldn't hit it. He wouldn't hit the target lap time. Like we were managing we were saying the time of the cars, and he wasn't hitting it. He was like 2/10 or 4/10 behind every single time, and he just wouldn't hit them. And it's so frustrating. So like I said, like empathizing with Ferrari, they're like saying, okay, do we let Leclerc pass? He has a damaged car. Yeah. So like if we let him pass and his car is damaged, is he really faster than Sainz? And I know that hindsight is always 2020, but it wasn't 20, like it wasn't hindsight. Like I know the result now, but the whole time that I'm watching the race,
the entire
I'm
race.
seeing it. I'm seeing it. Lap 11, he didn't let him pass. Lap 12, 13, 14, 15, up all until like Sainz pits. And then Leclerc finally goes in. I think he pitted, what lap did Sainz pit? 18, I think?
Yeah, something like that. I don't know. But then, I mean,
and then
matter.
It does, but like it takes all this time. Sainz pits, Leclerc pits, then like 6 laps or so later than that, comes out behind Sainz, and then it still catches up to him.
Yep.
And like the whole time, like you say, before Sainz pits, before that first pit stop, like Hamilton is just setting up fastest lap after fastest lap after fastest lap.
Yeah.
And Ferrari just won't make the fucking decision. Just and we said it during the race. It's as easy to say to your driver, it's like, look, we have to swap positions. Let Leclerc go. And if Leclerc can't get away, we'll swap you back.
Yeah.
That's it. That's all you have to do. Look, Leclerc caught up to you. Let him pass now. And then it's like, look, guys, like I let him pass 2-3 laps ago, and he's still there. Mm-hmm. And he's actually the one slowing me down now. So tell him to give me back the position.
Yeah.
It's as easy. And it would have taken 4 laps. Lap 10, Leclerc overtakes on lap 11. And then by lap 14 or 15, we can see whether or not that's like the thing. And then you swap him back. But no, it took him all the way until lap 31.
Yeah.
From lap 10 until lap 31 after they came out of the pits. And then Leclerc had to catch up to Sainz again.
Yeah.
And then once he caught up again to Sainz, they're like told Sainz, hey, you need to hit this target lap time. He didn't. And then he let him pass. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, dude, it took you 21 laps to make the decision to let him pass. And we saw it from the very beginning that Leclerc was faster. You lost 21 laps where Leclerc could have gained time, like where he could have make up time and like go as fast as he could have been. Then those 21 laps and not being stuck behind Carlos Sainz. Yeah. And for some reason, Ferrari just like fucks him over.
Yeah,
like,
and
how hard is it?
If you think about it, like Red Bull, and we've talked about the team decisions in the pod before, but like Red Bull doesn't have these problems because they just do it. They don't think about it. Like they understand that like this is a strategy game that they need to play. Like, yeah, it kind of sucks for Perez to have to let Verstappen just go through into first place. But like, if we're being serious here, and Verstappen just has more pace, then just let him through. I mean, there's not. I mean, it sucks for Perez, and it's like, or it would have sucked for Sainz. Maybe it would have been like a conversation after the race, like an awkward conversation between him and the team. But it's like you can obviously see that like one of the drivers is faster than the other, and one of them is in, like, impeding the progress of the winning champion. Why not give the faster car the best chances of winning the race? I just don't get that. I mean, if Sainz get passed by the guy behind him or something, then why, like if he doesn't have even the pace to hold that guy, then why are you sacrificing both cars for that type of shit? So it's a call that just doesn't make sense. It's a call that, like, you look at it and, like, objectively it's just bad. um and, like, there's no reason also not to do it. I mean, drivers understand it. I mean, they're not like idiots. They're not like, I mean, like, they want to win, but, like, if they don't have the pace, then they know that, like, they don't have the pace.
Yeah,
And
the same thing. Like when you say, like, if you compare it to Red Bull, yeah, it sucks when Perez has to give the position to Max Verstappen. It sucked in Spain. It sucked. Where else did he have to give it? There was another race where he had to give the position to Verstappen. Wasn't it in Baku?
there's been a few, but I don't remember which.
There's a couple, but it does suck. Yeah, it was in Baku where Perez was like going, and then Verstappen catches up to him, and then they tell him let Max through. It sucks, but then again, as soon as Verstappen passes Perez can't keep up with him.
Yeah, he doesn't keep up.
It's like, okay, like this wouldn't be an issue. You wouldn't have to give the position to the other driver if you're faster than the other driver. Like it's that easy.
Yeah.
So like we know Leclerc was faster than Sainz. He has been faster than Sainz the whole year. Like there's not like, okay, Sainz got a better qualifying this one time because Leclerc made a mistake, whatever. But that doesn't mean that Sainz was the faster car.
Yeah.
Even Sainz was surprised when he got pole position. He's like, "Oh, I didn't think that lap was anything special." He's like,
"Yeah, nothing good, nothing great."
So like that happens. Leclerc is the faster car. You're supposed to let him by, and like I'm saying, it wouldn't be an issue if Sainz can then keep up with Leclerc and then be like, "Guys, I'm keeping up with this guy. Let me pass. Let me go by." But that's not the case. And it doesn't happen at Red Bull. Perez doesn't go like, guys, come on, like I'm ahead. It's like, you don't give me the chance. It's like, bro, Verstappen is faster than you every race of the season.
Yeah.
Like there's nothing we can do. If you can't keep up, you can't keep up. Swap the fucking cars. And Christian Horner, as much as I dislike Christian Horner, like he has like, what is it, like he has his drivers on a tight leash. It's like like you have to let this fucking driver through. You have to play the team game. You have to stick the car there. You have to defend. You have to, and they fucking do it. They know how to do that. And I know that like in the years when we watched Formula One, it was like frowned upon to help your teammate and the team orders and shit.
Yeah.
But like that, like we're not playing at that anymore. We're actually trying to race for millions of dollars. You have to play the team game. And if you're not faster than your teammate, like just let him pass.
Exactly.
Like
I mean, like
I kind of feel it also for like Sainz. Is like, I know that you want to win, but don't be a dick. We all know that you're slower. Just let Leclerc by. Just let him by. How long does it take? Like, how many laps do you have to see the same Ferrari behind you to realize, like, I'll let him by? Like,
yeah. All right. And that is not even, I mean, like those are nitpicks. They eventually let him through, but like the really like egregious mistake that like Ferrari did in the race, like they didn't pit him. And like we were all like, I mean, as soon as like the Ocon incident happened, you have to like immediately be like, as a Ferrari,
my god, like we saw it as soon as Ocon was going slow. We're like, that's a safety car. That's a safety car. Where is he gonna stop? That's a safety car. We can all see it. Is he gonna be able to get the car out? That's a safety car. He's slowing down. Okay, it's gonna stop there. We fucking talked about it for like the 30 seconds. That is gonna be a fucking safety car.
Yes, I actually, that said that like it was 11 seconds from the time that like it started happening to the time that like it fully like it came out. And in that time, Ferrari, like, not no doubts, just fucking send them in. Like, why aren't you guys prepared for this type of shit? There's a point on a race where like you always every single lap you constantly have to analyze if you need to, if there's a safety car, what you're going to do. And I'm just like, if you see that there's a safety car happening, use the strategy, whatever strategy you think you're supposed to do when you're in a safety car. I mean, you have like dozens of people working behind the scenes, looking at the data, looking at everything. Why don't you have a strategy in place for when this shit happens? Because it happened. There was a gap of time, a reasonable gap of time in which you could call Leclerc in. And then you didn't call Leclerc in, but you knew that you needed to call them in because then you called Sainz in. So it's like how do you fuck this up? Like, Red Bull didn't mess it up, Mercedes didn't mess it up. In fact, every single team didn't mess it up except for Ferrari. They're the only team that fucked up Leclerc of like the top 8 drivers or something like that. And then it's like then you just started giving flashbacks of like Abu Dhabi last year of like Hamilton's having to stay out on like hard tires versus everybody else on the softs. And it's just so harsh to see. He was never gonna keep those positions. Ferrari literally left him out to dry, and immediately after we were just like, he's not even gonna make the podium. Like there's no way that he's keeping this podium. He might even lose more than that. He almost got passed by Alonso. So
Yep.
like it's just so bad. It's such bad decision making. It's what I've said every single week. Ferrari, whenever there's a decision to be made, you can reliably say that Ferrari is gonna fuck it up.
Yeah, it's I mean, like you say, you are the fucking engineers with all the data, you know? Every lap you analyze, if there is a safety car here, this is what we do. This is like the strategy. If there's a safety car in the next lap, like the next lap passes by. If there's a safety car here, this is the strategy. Then the next lap passes. If there's a safety car here, this is the strategy. That's all the teams have that. They all know if there's a safety car, this is what we do.
Mm-hmm.
How is it that there's a safety car and then you don't know what to do with the main lead driver? I mean, it's like you do know what to do, but for some reason you can't think under pressure. It's like that's what they pay you for. Yeah. You have to make these decisions as soon as they happen. Mm-hmm. Like we can all see it, and like I know that you'd be like, okay, the best strategy, yes, it is to put it to pit in the Leclerc, and then like maybe you don't have enough time to double stack both cars. Maybe you don't. But why would you then like leave the main driver like out there to fucking lose the race?
Yeah.
Instead of like leaving Sainz out there. Oh, we don't have time to pit both, so let's fuck up our main driver. How does that make any sense?
Yeah, it doesn't. I mean, it absolutely doesn't make any sense. I don't know. And then I don't know. I was seeing the interview afterwards, and then Leclerc said something like along the lines of like they decided to keep the lead driver out there and or pit me in. I don't know. To me, it was strange because I think Ferrari was playing favorites on that. Like for some reason, they favored Sainz on top of Leclerc on this scenario. And like as Leclerc, I was like, yeah, I also don't understand that. You were winning the race, you were faster than Sainz, so why not pit you? And if anything, leave Sainz out, who doesn't have enough pace for anything.
Yeah. And if we go back to what we were just saying about like not swapping the cars earlier, like it takes you 21 laps to swap the cars. Like this is what we say. If you just swap them as soon as you need to swap them, you would have had an extra 21 laps where Leclerc would have made up enough time that when the safety car happens, you can pit both drivers and you're not going to lose time with both of them, you know?
Exactly. Yeah,
like,
exactly right.
Like one bad decision just like
builds onto
the next bad decision, and then another bad decision just because you couldn't make the one decision that you needed that would have solved all of your issues in the foreseeable future. Yeah. You just had to make that one, but like you delay it, you're not decisive. for whatever reason you can't tell your drivers what to do. You're afraid of telling them what to do. It's like
Yeah.
just fucking tell them. Like we can all see it. You're Ferrari, for God's sake. Like if I think of like the team that would be able to tell their drivers, hey, fucking swap the cars, I'm like, oh, Ferrari will definitely have the balls to fucking tell the
Right.
drivers,
Yeah. There should be like
like,
hawks.
yeah, it's like, swap the fucking cars. That car is faster. Just get out of the way. We don't give a
Yeah.
shit about you, even if you're like our team or in our
Right.
team.
It
You're
should be
this lower car. Get out.
cutthroat shit.
Yeah, it's like this is Ferrari. We're here
yeah.
to win it. Like, what do
Like
you think this is?
we're the best drivers. You gotta go faster. That should be. I mean, like I hate to say it because that's kind of like it could be a toxic sort of trait, but it's like no. I mean, you kind of like need to know what is good for you as the team and what is good for your best driver, and like how you can win races, how the team can win races, and that's how you do it. You put the faster driver forward and make him go faster. Like
Yep.
no shame in doing that. And it's also like in
If
a
you if
competitive
you
sport is what you need
if
to
you
do.
win the championship by doing that, like that's what you did with Michael Schumacher many years ago. And
Exactly.
like people idolize Ferrari for all of that. And
Yeah.
like a lot of their fan base is built, especially out of the early 2000s when Schumacher brought him up and like won 5 championships in a row. Is like a lot of your fan base was built there. Not all of their fan, but a lot of it.
Mhm.
And like you just have to repeat that. Like you have the drivers be as decisive.
Yeah.
That's all you need to do.
And you know what's even sadder is that even after Leclerc lost the position, he still won the race for Sainz. Like,
Oh yeah.
like he definitely won the race for Sainz. Like, I mean, he held up Perez and Hamilton for like
Yep.
a good like 5 or 6 laps, maybe even more. Like to the point that the gap was like 6 seconds by the time that Perez was able to pass Leclerc, which is something that Sainz would have never done. Sainz would
No.
have never held that like Leclerc did it with
And
a
it's
broken
not,
wing.
yeah, and it's not because Sainz wouldn't have wanted to do it. It's just he can't. He's not as good.
Right. Exactly. I mean, like Sainz can even hold like 1 or 2 laps against Verstappen or Perez. So it's like,
What is it? Last year, it was Ocon was like I think winning the race in Hungary. I think.
oh yeah.
Was it last year?
Mhm. Yeah,
And then Hamilton was coming like for a vengeance to try to get that position back. And then like it took forever for Hamilton to get past Alonso
yeah.
for like that podium place. Alonso like was so good there defending and not letting Hamilton by.
Dude, he
And
was
then
fighting that fucking spot like he was his life,
yeah,
like a
and
lion, like he said.
yeah, Alonso was really good, and Hamilton overtook Alonso after like I don't know 8 laps or so. And then finally Hamilton goes, and I'm like, okay, finally I can go now. Next guy, and the next guy is Carlos Sainz, and fucking Hamilton passed him in 1 lap.
Yeah.
It's like like you see the difference of caliber in the drivers. Like Alonso in the Alpine, fucking hell Hamilton on the Mercedes, which was like a rocket ship last year.
Yeah.
And then you have Carlos Sainz, and he's like, oh, I don't know. Like Carlos Sainz just doesn't have it. That doesn't mean he's a bad driver. He's not a bad driver. He's very solid, but he just doesn't have that racecraft.
Mhm.
So I don't know why. I don't
Yeah.
know.
I mean, I don't know. He just wouldn't have held that place for Leclerc like Leclerc did for him. And then Leclerc still managed to like hold on to fourth, which was good enough. But it's really heartbreaking. I mean, it's the second race in this season where like Leclerc it was in first place and went down to fourth place because of the fucking team, because of the bad calls.
Yeah.
And he's saying that like this cannot happen. I mean, like, how is it that like your lead driver, the fastest driver, the guy that's winning you the race, the team, that he ends up fourth, like for a bad decision of the team? I mean, like Leclerc says, he's like this can't be like this, um, like I as a driver, in a team like Ferrari, you expect the team to really put you in a winning position, and Ferrari just constantly like elbow him out of like good positions, and this is not just this year. It happened when Vettel was in the team. It happened last year, especially at the end of last year. We're just like bad call after bad call from Ferrari. You could tell that they just kept fucking the strategy of Leclerc, and he ended up losing places. Like last
Yeah.
year at the end on the last few races, is why Sainz ended up ahead on the championship. In Abu Dhabi, they fucked up again Leclerc's strategy. I mean, it wasn't talked about a lot, but that entire race, they just had him in the wrong tires. And if you go back and see it, you could see that Leclerc strategy was messed up. I know because I care about Leclerc last year. That like if had he not been fucked like that, he would have been that like the championship on like fourth or fifth ahead of Lando Norris and Sainz. But instead, Sainz ended up getting the place because Ferrari fucked him up. So this is like a trend, which
Yeah.
is so sad because I don't think there's ever been a driver that's I mean maybe, but like as enthusiastic about Ferrari and about being there and being good to the brand. Like I mean, you see Leclerc on his stream back in the day, like he will be so respectful about Ferrari. He will only drive Ferrari cars. He would even refuse to drive like Williams cars on like stream and stuff because he just everything was about Ferrari. He was always thinking about this, and it's just sad to see like that Ferrari is like betraying him, or not betraying him, maybe just like disappointing him. But it's just it sucks,
Yeah. And then I think that Leclerc has been a little harsh telling Ferrari, like, I don't understand what's going on. Same like in Monaco, he's like, fuck, what are you doing? Like, and he was so disappointed in the radio.
Yeah,
And then he's been going on the media about it. He didn't go as harsh in the media this time.
yeah.
There's the
Then yeah, you better not, kid. It's like I mean, like
that's even worse because we all know what Mattia Binotto is telling Leclerc when like he points his finger at him. Like,
I mean, I don't think we can know exactly what he's saying, but to me, just like the general publicity of like going like this to your driver of like giving him like an order after he's like obviously disappointed and like shocked and like sad about the result. It's so bad. I mean, you guys fucked him up. Ferrari fucked him up, and you're gonna come and whack your finger in his face. I mean, it's just distasteful.
yeah, yeah. The guy like Leclerc had just gotten out of the car. He had his helmet off. He was just like, ah. And then Binotto just stops him. Like you like don't go. Like just like and they
Like,
start
wait,
like
let me talk to you. Like, listen to this, and it's like,
yeah, and then just like I don't
bro,
know what he was saying. The whole thing, like when I saw it, and I'm like he's saying like, "Don't you talk shit about our team ever again?" Like I know that we fucked up, but just shut up. That's kind of what it felt like to me.
yeah,
I don't know if that's what we can know unless like we have somebody that can read like
lips
lips. But
in
even then,
Italian.
Binotto, yeah, in Italian, even though Binotto still has an accent and whatever.
Mm, yeah,
But like he's just like that. To Leclerc didn't even look at him. He was just like so sad. Like there's nothing you can say.
yeah.
Like you should motivate your driver and just there's a lot of bad,
Apologize. You,
you
you
know.
should like apologize. Is what you should do.
And the fact that he got caught on camera,
Yeah.
like that's worse for Ferrari. It's
Mhm.
like I know you fucked up. You have a conversation with your driver afterwards and stuff. But and then like maybe the driver is a little bit more prepared as to like how to handle it and not bash the team. But they got caught on camera when Binotto was like, "Oh,
Yeah. That's the type of shit that makes me feel like after like Leclerc finishes in 2024 with Ferrari that like he should go to Mercedes or like I mean I don't think Red Bull, but like he should find like a good team that like is gonna I don't know is gonna treat him better because like I mean that's just so bad. I mean unless they can like fix a lot of things quickly in Ferrari, especially in the strategy department. Um, I'm just afraid that this is gonna keep happening. I'm just and I don't know. I think there was a story last year, a gossip at least. I don't think it was actually officially declared that like Binotto on the construction of the car, on the way that they wanted to develop the car, that like apparently Ferrari was paying more attention to what Sainz was saying than like what Leclerc was saying. In other words, they were prioritizing Sainz's input about how to create the car on top of Leclerc's. And apparently there was a huge argument between Binotto and Charles Leclerc at the time. Now, I don't know how much truth there was to that story, but like I would believe I started kind of noticing that like Ferrari do for some reason prefer Sainz in a lot of scenarios, and like they treat him better, and like the strategy more reliably than not end up like favoring Sainz better than Leclerc. So I don't know why Ferrari like insists on like mistreating the guy. But it
Yeah,
does
I
make
mean that same rumor was out there, I think, on 2019 when Vettel was in the team, that Vettel needed support, and then like the rumor was like, we're gonna build a car around Vettel, you know.
Mhm.
Uh,
But like yeah, but like it was a bad strategy. I mean, because Vettel was not faster than Leclerc. Um,
yep,
so I mean,
and
I
and
just go ahead. Sorry.
yeah, so there was that, and for some reason, I think Ferrari just need a driver that maybe they appreciate more Sainz, because Sainz can fucking call the strategy, and be like self-sufficient per se when it comes to like a strategy in the middle of the race.
Yeah.
But for and Leclerc can't do that. Leclerc is just like a really fast driver, so maybe they appreciate more like the input of like the guy that can call his own race. But like, you're just shooting yourself in the foot at that point. Like,
Yeah. And you know what? At this point, I don't know. I'm not afraid to say it. I think Binotto has been a subpar principal for Ferrari. Like I think I forget the previous guy. Do you remember the previous guy? What was his name?
from who? From
For
Binotto?
Ferrari.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Arriva Bene.
Arriba Bene. Yeah, like I mean, say what you want about the guy. He was kind of an asshole, but like he kept the team motivated. I mean, like Binotto for me is just he hasn't. I don't think he's the right person to lead the team. Like his personality is not appropriate, or like not necessarily appropriate, but like not the right fit for what Ferrari should be going for. I mean, the guy to me, it seems like he just has the wrong attitude about it, or like the wrong personality. They postponed the development of the card for 2 years for this year, and now that it's here, I mean, it's good, but it's not the best. And they're not carrying like the strategy department is not improving. I just feel like the team needs a little bit better leadership. I honestly, I just don't see any reason why Binotto should be the one making the decisions. He hasn't really, in my opinion, made a whole lot of good ones so far. So
Yeah, they need a shot caller, somebody that is just decisive.
yeah,
Uh,
Binotto doesn't strike me as like a strong-willed person. He strikes me like a very smart nerd, like a person that like probably understands like a lot of aspects of the team, a lot of different, like a smart guy, but not necessarily somebody that's gonna call all the shots, especially under pressure circumstances. Like I mean, he just I don't think he has it. I think it needs to be somebody else,
yeah,
somebody
yeah,
more.
you need somebody that can really call the shots and like, be decisive when like you have a split-second decision to make.
And understand the weight of that responsibility. That like you're the one making these shots. Like Toto, like I feel like Toto exudes that. Like the guy is just you see him and like the guy is like paying attention and thinking of how they can win the race at all times. Like he's constantly like and like he gets very stressed about it and you can tell. But like you can tell that like he's making decisions all throughout.
Yeah,
Same
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 with same with Horner.
same with Horner. Horner is also there, like smart guy, paying attention, truly like getting perspectives in the race and like providing important feedback. But we notice just always kind of there. I never get the sense that like he's really like committed or like as invested in the drivers. Uh like something happens and it's like he and like I just don't see him like worrying like how he should about the result, like like he doesn't have like the eye of the tiger, if you will. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. I guess that's pretty much all there is to say about the whole Ferrari like fuck up. I mean, it's just really tragic. It's just another race in which Leclerc could have had a win, and like instead like he comes up with like what, like 13 points less or something.
Yeah.
And like they're screwing the championship between him and Verstappen, which is also like very like deflating. Like sucks out the excitement out of the championship. So
Yeah. Anyway. Okay. It is time to criticize the FIA.
all right, what's up this week?
Actually, I don't have much for criticizing the FIA this time around. Um, I think everything that happened was fine in the terms of the rules. I am annoyed that Perez didn't get a 5 second penalty.
Yeah.
Um, but like I said, I feel like I think you have to rewatch it because there was a point where Leclerc left the track, like on the outside of that turn, which I think
Um,
kind of makes up for it.
I don't know.
Uh,
I did see. I went back and saw that just a second ago, and I was like, I mean, he went out, but like Perez kind of pushed him out, and yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's not as clear cut, but Perez literally just left the truck and like just to get an advantage. It's kind of like it reminded me of Vettel in Canada. So like that 1 year when he like got the 5 second penalty, and I was like, I think. I mean, if you would have told me that was a penalty, I would have been like, okay, sure, yeah, it was a penalty. It's not about like going back and forth because I mean, otherwise, like, I mean, if what Leclerc did was a penalty, then that this other thing was definitely a penalty, as well. So I don't know. I don't know. I feel like I'm not as happy with it, but I guess I understand it. It's kind of annoying to me because obviously I like Leclerc better. I wanted him to win the race or to at least be in the podium, but I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I can see the argument the other way around too. So
yeah, I mean, there is not much when it comes to that. Maybe like let's say that we don't worry about the Perez or Leclerc battle. Um, but then if we go to like Max Verstappen versus Mick Schumacher,
yeah,
it's like, I mean, Verstappen just pushed Schumacher out like so harshly.
yeah,
Uh, and like that's just Verstappen. Like he always does the same shit. You have to like really put the car there, and this is like the same thing that we always say about Verstappen. He puts the car in a way that is like you have to back off or
or just
we're
a
crashing
crash.
out. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's like just classic Verstappen move. It's like
yeah,
you have to back off. You don't want to crash, and you don't want to crash against me because if you crash against me, it's gonna be your fault. It's like, bro, how does that
yeah,
work?
yeah.
Uh, so it is the only criticism that I have for the FIA is like, what are the rules for racing? Because sometimes like we appreciate some hard racing, um, and then like when like it gets like dirty racing kind of like that, just like pushing each other out, it's like you need to have a clear specific set of rules. I know that for this uh that this time around, uh, I don't know, I think it's difficult. I think for this time around nothing bad happened. Like it was
Mhm.
pretty exciting racing, but like I always do it on the angle that like what's gonna happen in the future.
Yeah.
uh you
What could
know
happen? Yeah.
like how much are you gonna let the drivers get away with, uh you know
Personal
before
level.
before like something happens? So like let's say, and I this is the criticism, is that let's say that Leclerc did gain an advantage by going out of the track, and then Perez cuts the corner, and then the reason that you didn't give Leclerc a penalty or you didn't give Perez a penalty was because the other driver did the same thing. They both
Hmm.
deserve a penalty, so that cancels out. But you didn't say that that's the reason that that happened.
Yeah.
Like now it's up to me to like come up with my own reasoning as to like, I guess I can see why the FIA didn't say it. But in the future, what ends up happening is that there is no context. So
Hmm.
in the future, when somebody does cut the corner and they get a 5 second penalty, we can then, that driver is going to be like, oh, but you didn't give Perez a 5 second penalty for cutting the corner before,
Yeah.
or like when a driver overtakes another driver outside of the track, you know,
Hmm.
um, that like another driver does it, and then it's like, oh, you give me a 5-second penalty for that, but you didn't give Leclerc a 5-second penalty when he overtook Perez outside of the track. You
Yeah.
know, if you don't have a reason as to why you're not giving penalties, you don't have a track record that you can fall back and like rely upon. And that's the criticism here. Like, I'm okay with it being the way that it was, but give me an explanation as to why you came up with that reasoning, right? So when we go back forwards into the future and there's a 5-second penalty for cutting a corner, and we see like, oh, but you didn't give a 5-second penalty here, we have a document that says like the reason was because these penalties cancel each other.
Well, yes, but the thing is that like even if they had that, they have that, but they're just so consistent with it. You know, like you can
I
find
know,
like
I'm asking too
examples
much,
of
I guess.
yes. You can ask example of like when this is happen and when this isn't happen, and you could get both scenarios, and like you could get like the FIA called this a 5-second penalty before. Now they don't even they don't even there is a warning or anything. Now it's fine, and then other times it's like a 5-second penalty. Sometimes it's like a drive through. I mean, like you can find all of these type of things just because out of inconsistency in the rules and in the way in the FIA interprets the rules every race. So it's like, yeah, I don't know. It's at least it wasn't that bad, is what I have to say.
Yes, it wasn't as bad. I do think that I know we're really harsh on like be consistent with your penalties. And there are some that you can be really consistent with, some that are very obvious. And I think that there are some that are just in the gray area that you don't know. Like the whole pushing a driver out of the track, for some reason, I still don't understand that penalty. Like when that happens or not, I think in Austria last year, or the year before that, I think the coronavirus year, the one where we had 2 back-to-back, I think Lando Norris pushed somebody out and got a 5-second penalty, and then Perez pushed Lando Norris out, something like that. You remember in Austria?
And then I think it was. Oh, I thought for some reason it was like, no, never mind. It couldn't have been that other one that I was thinking of.
I think it was Perez pushing Lando, or Lando pushed somebody. I don't know. And they went onto the gravel, and then they got a 5-second penalty. So like at some point you do care when drivers push each other out, and that's a 5-second penalty. But there are sometimes that other drivers push each other out of the track, and it's not a 5-second penalty. Like when Verstappen pushed Hamilton out on Brazil, like that he didn't even turn. I don't want to talk specifically about Verstappen, Hamilton. I'm trying to look at examples outside of that. Also, like if we talk about, and the one we were talking about a little bit earlier is Alonso with Hamilton on Hungary. Like Alonso defended well by actually driving the car very wide and not letting Hamilton through. And I'm like, does that mean Alonso pushed Hamilton out? But at that point, you don't penalize it, but you do penalize it here. And then in this one, Verstappen pushes Mick Schumacher out, and it's not a penalty. So it's like, what is the penalty specifically for pushing another car out? The one that we always hear is that you have to leave a car's width, like
enough space
for a car to be there. Verstappen didn't leave a car's width. Like we see it, like the replay is so obvious. It's very it's kind of funny. It's like very much Verstappen showing Mick Schumacher is like, I learned this from your dad, boy.
That's precisely what we said after when we were watching it. It's like oh well, I guess he just learned it from Michael Schumacher to do that type of shit. Which for once I was like, okay, I guess I can excuse this. Is Verstappen, going back to somebody that Michael Schumacher did a lot, especially to Montoya. So I was like, whatever.
It was like, because I'm not a fan of Michael Schumacher in general. So like when Verstappen does it to make Schumacher, it's like a little bit of redemption. But like if I'm trying to be as unbiased as possible, it's like explain to me what the pushing out rule is, because I don't understand it. Sometimes you do penalize them for pushing out, sometimes you don't. Like if they get pushed out and then they overtake each other, like if Perez pushed out Leclerc on that turn and Leclerc gained an advantage and overtook Perez, and I'm like, is it Leclerc's fault that he gained an advantage if he was pushed out by Perez out of the track? There's so many nuances in the sport, and I know that there's a lot of gray area, but there are some things that we just have to know and understand. Right. In that same Austria that we're talking about, where like Perez, I think, got a 5-second penalty.
Yeah,
that was the same race in which George Russell and Fernando Alonso were fighting like really intensely. Like Alonso and Russell are just going hard at it, and they're leaving each other so much space. Nobody's pushing each other out, and they're wheel to wheel for several corners, and it was so exciting. And like people praise that, like, oh, that was so good how they raced like that. And then, but when they push each other out, is like, if we have an example of what we like and how it works, like
why can't we? Why can it be more like that?
Yeah. So that's my criticism. Just like, let me know what the rules are, because it's very frustrating.
Yeah, it really is. I don't know. The lack of consistency in the rules is something that we'll complain about like forever in Formula One. So yeah, I think
that's it. We criticized the FIA. I thought it was gonna be shorter than that, but yeah, I did go a little long-winded because it frustrates me.
It's fine, but yeah, let's wrap it up quickly. It's already like pretty late for me. I mean, I know it's like over midnight for you.
That's it. Let's do it. Let's do the points, and if you want, let's just start right away. Max Verstappen.
Max Verstappen, a little weird. He was still like doing really well in driving in the rain on qualifying, and he was also having a good race, most likely about to win. It's not really his fault. He defended kind of hard. I'm gonna give him a 4, maybe a 4.5, probably a 4.5.
4.5 for Max Verstappen. I think he would have won the race.
Yeah, I think so.
So Verstappen 4.5. Let's go with Perez.
Perez, great recovery. Even though he fucked up, he managed to be in the right spot at the right time, and he almost even fought for the win. So I'm gonna give him, I think, a 4, maybe a 4.5. Maybe a 4.5 is right.
You think he drove as well as Verstappen?
I don't know. He didn't have a great qualifying. It was hard to gauge because he was always.
He got driver of the day.
He did get driver of the day, which doesn't mean
nobody sees him all race long, and then in the last 10 laps he gets that place and it's like driver of the day.
Yeah, but it was only like 20% support. So like we said that it was probably like just very distributed among different drivers. I'm sure like some people said that like Leclerc was the best. Other people probably said that Hamilton was the best. So it's probably a very like split thing. But
so 4 or 4.5.
I'm gonna give him a 4.
All right, Leclerc
is an easy 4.5 as well. No, not a perfect race. I mean, he did fuck up his win, and that was his fault, but he was still driving faster than Sainz, and he was still faster in qualifying also. So
Sainz
at 3. At 3. This is not a good performance from him. It wasn't good at all. The fact that he got a win out of this is like tremendous luck.
Okay. Russell
was out in the first few corners, and if you ask me, almost his mistake. I think it was more on Gasly, because Gasly just like wrenched himself in there. I mean, it's still a racing incident.
I think it was a little bit Russell's fault. I mean, I actually think it was a racing incident, but let's say that we have to put blame on something.
Right.
Russell started on the hard tires. He got a pretty poor start. Gasly was gaining on him. The Alpha Romeo of Joe was just like also on the outside, and I think Russell didn't consider Gasly like being
Yeah,
on his left, so he
just
like
forgot it
turned
was
a little
there.
bit to the left and then just like lost it. I think it's a racing incident. It was a
Yeah,
very tight space for so many cars to go there, so that's why I don't blame him. But if I have to blame somebody, and I'm like, I do think that Russell fucked up a little.
yeah. He was also pretty behind on the grid, so I'm gonna give him a 2.5. I think for the incident and for not having a great qualifying.
Right.
First,
Hamilton.
first inconsistency of this year. Hamilton is really good. Like he pressured the Ferraris at the right time. He treated his tires really well, and he might have even been able to compete for the just for the win of the race, had it not been for the safety car. So I think I'm gonna give him a 4.5 as well.
Nice.
Yeah, really good.
All right. Bottas.
Bottas didn't finish, did he? No, he
I don't think he
retired.
did.
He was doing well until that point, so I'm gonna give him a 3.5. I think that's about right.
Okay. 3.5. Joe.
Well, Joe crashed. It wasn't his fault, and he actually had a pretty good qualifying. So I'm gonna say 3.5.
3.5. Just as good as Bottas without even racing. I think like
I think Bottas should get a 3. I guess I should say. And so should Joe.
I think like if you don't race, you should just get a 2.5. But
I mean, you still have the
I mean,
qualifying.
well, so you think that even though he didn't race, he deserves the same score as Bottas, the same score
Uh,
as Sainz? I mean, you
yeah,
can say yes.
yeah,
I'm
no,
just
I think so.
challenging your reason.
No, I think so. I mean, Sainz didn't do. If you're comparing teammates to teammates, I mean, just on qualifying alone, I mean, he got a faster lap, and then he was doing fine in the race too. Uh, when he started, he didn't lose places. So that's as much as I can say. I think a 3 is fair. I don't think a 2.5 is necessary is appropriate. I think a 3 is fine, and a 3 for Bottas as well is fine because Bottas was just doing a normal. It's a very normal performance.
All right. Norris.
Lando, what did he finish? Was he in the top 10?
He
Yeah,
finished sixth
yeah, he
behind
did pretty
Alonso.
good. He did pretty good, and it was actually a very silent race for him. And then you can again see like the disparity between him and Daniel Ricciardo, who can like really really keep up. So I'm gonna give Lando a 4. I think he deserves to be there.
Ricardo.
Ricardo, I'm gonna give it 3. I think he's still struggling. Actually, no. I'm gonna give him a 2.5. I mean, he finished behind Latifi. How did that happen?
Dang.
How did that fucking happen? Holy shit!
Yeah, at some point he was one of the lapped cars that they were that they led by.
Yeah, I think that car is really not the fit for him. He's really struggling. I mean, that's pretty bad. But anyways, we can keep going.
Albon.
Albon just crashed. I mean,
3.
I'm gonna give him a 3. Yeah, stay consistent with what I said. He had a good qualifying.
He crashed. He didn't even complete a lap. 3.
Yeah,
Okay.
I saw the 3. Not chance to mess up.
Latifi.
Let's see if let me see. Well, he finished ahead of Ricardo, so that counts for something. He still finished 12 outside the points. I'm gonna give him a 3, maybe 3.5 because 12 is good.
3.5. Better than Bottas? Better than Sainz?
I want to say that everybody raised better than Science. All right, fine. I'll give him a 3.
Ocon.
Ocon didn't finish the race. He was doing well. He was getting into a couple of fights before he went out. who's doing relatively okay at 3. uh, like I don't know, he didn't do anything that particularly special, you know.
Alonso.
Alonso did pretty good. I'm gonna give him a 4.5. He was the
Holy.
best of the rest this weekend and was nearly fighting Leclerc for there. I know he didn't show up a lot, but he still did really good.
Magnussen.
K-Mag back in the points. I think that's a pretty solid performance. The Vettel there at 3.5 or 4. I mean, I think the 4 should really go to Mick for being ahead, and the 3.5 to K-Mag because he was behind on both sessions.
Wait, so
But
3.5 to K-Mag and then what?
and then a 4 for Mick, which I think is about right.
This is something we didn't talk about, the Alpha Tauris crashing onto each other.
The evoking feelings of previous races. I was thinking specifically of China in 2018, I believe, when Verstappen was trying to pass Vettel and he like tapped him and they both like spun like, you know, in synchronization. Like it looked pretty similar, but I think there was another incident like this between two other, but like of the same team. I don't remember which one it was. It was very similar, but
I think
yeah,
that I think AlphaTauri said that they hired a psychologist for Yuki.
Mhm.
I don't know. Maybe Yuki's suffering from some not confidence. What's the opposite of not confidence?
Lack of confidence.
Lack of confidence.
Cowardness. I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah, no, I think it's true. I do well, you know. Anyways, if we're gonna score them, I probably
Gasly and Tsunoda.
A 2.5 for Gasly. Because I think he was part of an incident and I think he had some responsibility in it, and then he suffered greatly because of it.
And Yuki?
Yuki at 2.5 for causing an accident. And you know, destroying his race in the process.
All right. Then we have Vettel and Stroll.
Vettel and Stroll. Well, Stroll, I didn't see him the entire weekend. I remember like he didn't qualify that good, but
yeah,
that's
he got 11th.
But yeah, he got 11th, almost in the points. I don't know, good enough for a 3, I think. You know, just like an average drive. I don't think it's nothing crazy. Vettel is probably I don't know, 3.5. I mean, he got some points. It was nothing amazing.
Okay. All right, let's do this. You have 4 people tied for first place.
Okay.
You have Leclerc, Verstappen, Hamilton, and Alonso.
Should be Hamilton first, I think. Because I think I was most impressed with him. Probably Verstappen after, because he still managed to hold that position even with a destroyed car. Then Leclerc, then Alonso.
Really? I think Leclerc should probably go higher, but
I just don't want to seem biased, I guess.
I mean,
I could say it.
I think that Verstappen did his best, and I do think that there's an argument for both. Like, you know, and there's not much that Verstappen could have done. I think he really couldn't race that car, and he defended really well to not lose some more positions that I think he should have. But then same for Leclerc. Leclerc had a damaged car, all tires, was faster the whole time, defended even after the safety car fucking like won the race for Sainz. So I do think that both drivers could win it here over the other. So whichever one you pick, I'm not gonna be mad. Just there's an argument for both.
I think Leclerc should be higher, Verstappen should be third, and then Alonso should be fourth. I think you're right. Okay, so what's next?
Now you got Perez, Norris, and Schumacher.
I think Perez, Norris, Schumacher. I think that I like that.
Okay. And then you have the last three positions are for Kevin Magnussen, Vettel. That's it. So it's only the two positions.
Oh, but for the last two?
No, you have three left.
Oh, crap. Probably Vettel, then K-Mac. I think that's fine.
Okay. And then for the last spot, you have Sainz, Bottas, Guanyu, Guanyu, I apologize. Albon, Latifi, Ocon, and Stroll.
All right, let's give it to Sainz. He won the race.
And that's it. We did it. Hungary is next.
Wait, no, it's Austria's next.
Austria's next. I mean, that's gonna be exciting again.
Yeah, it looks awesome. I'm excited. That's always a good track. It's always so fast. It's one of the funnest ones in the game. It's always, you do a lap and then you want to do a million. It's a great place. Good for racing. It's always fun racing. So I'm excited.
Yeah. Leclerc or Verstappen comes ahead?
Ooh, I don't know. They do have a history in Austria. And it's actually not clear cut. I'm gonna say, it's such a power track that is probably Red Bull are favored.
It's the Red Bull ring.
Yeah, exactly. But I'm gonna say what I always say, which is, if Ferrari can play the team game, and like Sainz can hold Verstappen off for once, Leclerc could, scrub away a victory just by having faster laps than Verstappen and not being pressure under the DRS. I think that's the case.
Okay. Ferrari fixed their issues.
What?
Ferrari fixed their issues. Yes or no?
Oh, no. No, it's not. It's not gonna happen. Maybe they just come out and there's no like decisions to be made. Maybe it's just a very straightforward like pit and keep going, right? Like the usual. But if it's not that way, if there's a decision to be made, then they're gonna suffer. But I have this feeling, I got the vibe that like this next race is gonna be a very standard race. It's just gonna be like the top two going at it.
Mercedes wins it.
No. I think it's gonna be a very like Verstappen versus Leclerc. Probably Verstappen ends up ahead, but very standard race. Like then we're gonna see probably Perez, then Sainz, and then two Mercedes if nothing happens. So yeah, that's just my prediction. It's just the universe is telling me that's how it's gonna be. So that's how it's gonna be.
Yep. I think that Verstappen just always has the advantage up until Ferrari shows that they can fucking hold it together.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, we'll see you next week.
All right. Peace.